Dear brothers and sisters, may the peace of Christ be with you. Personally, I believe that it's an act of injustice to God when someone begins to engage oneself in unhealthy comparison. I also know and believe that it's an act of ignorance on our part if we begin to engage ourselves in an unhealthy comparison. I say this because anyone who engages himself or herself in unhealthy comparison basically does not know that he or she has inherent uniqueness, has inherent strength, has inherent potentials, has inherent giftedness, has inherent talents, and so many other things that are basically unique and peculiar to that person. Dear brothers and sisters, today I wish to welcome you to our daily Bible reflections. If you look at the gospel passage today, you will notice that Mark did not mention the name of the group of people who objected or who came to Jesus to raise their objections on the reason and the why his disciples do not fast. When they started, they told Jesus that the disciples of the Pharisees that they fast, disciples of John the Baptist they fast. Why is it that your own disciples they do not fast? For me, this is a wrong question. Why do we ask why you don't do this, why you don't do that? Most times we engage ourselves in unhealthy comparison. Why do you have to compare disciples of John and disciples of Jesus? Disciples are followers, and to be a disciple simply means you accept the teaching and the way of life of your master. John was a different person. Jesus is a different person. The Pharisees were different people. So why do we have to compare these three groups? A disciple, as we know, is a learner. A disciple is a student. A disciple is an apprentice. A disciple is someone who follows you to observe and to be committed to your way of life. So, for me, I believe that it was a wrong question for them to ask Jesus this. But the fact is that they had this spirit of unhealthy comparison. Why do we compare ourselves with other people? As I said in the beginning, it is simply because we are ignorant of the fact that we are unique and we have unique strength. My strength is not the same with yours. So they came asking Jesus, why? Your disciples are eating and drinking, but the other disciples of other people, they are fasting. It's important for us also at this moment to explain what does fasting actually mean and what is the objective of fasting. The simple basic objective for fasting is to dispose oneself, to mortify one's senses in order to enter into fellowship, in order to enter into communion, in order to be attentive when we enter into fellowship, into communion, into communication with God. So originally, fasting was meant to be a tool for proper disposition. For what? To be able to enter attentively into communion with God. It's like preparing someone to enter into a union with God. So if we understand really that fasting is meant to dispose us to have attentive disposition when we commune, when we communicate with God, then we will understand really that this question was a wrong question. It's a wrong question simply because Jesus was physically present with his disciples. So why do they need to fast? They are already united with him. They were in his presence. They were having fellowship with him. They were having communion with him. They were with him presently. So why do they need to fast? If the one that they're supposed to fast in order to enter into his communion is physically present with them, what's the need of fasting? They don't need to fast. And that's why Jesus said to them that The attendants do not fast when they are with the bridegroom. Jesus is the bridegroom. We are the attendants. Disciples are the attendants. And this question that these people asked and Jesus' response to them reminds us clearly, especially in the response of Jesus, that being in the presence of God is being, in the presence of joy. When we speak about wedding, of course, we speak about celebrations. When we speak about wedding, we speak about happiness and joy. So, Jesus makes us to understand today that to be in his presence, to be in union with him, to be in communication with him, to be in communion with him, to be in fellowship with him should give us joy. And remember that joy does not mean the absence of misfortunes and trials and sicknesses. No. But joy means the presence of God that gives us resilience even in the moments of our struggles, challenges, and trials. And Jesus is saying to us now, the bridegroom is here. So why do you need to fast? In the presence of God, there is joy and liberty. In the presence of God, there is freedom. In the presence of God, there is happiness. There is fulfillment. So why do you need to fast? One thing that fascinates me here is how Jesus defended his disciples. And I believe today, and I prayed today in my morning prayer, I asked Jesus, please defend me, rescue me from, people who do not understand me. Defend me from people who try to impose themselves on me. Defend me from people who try to impose their opinions and suggestions on me without respecting my uniqueness. You see, many of us, we are also having this kind of Pharisaic attitude. We try to impose what we think to be right on other people. We don't ask people what they think. We don't care about how they feel, but we care more about our selfish interests. And that's why we keep on imposing ourselves on other people. We keep on imposing our ideas on other people. We keep on imposing our opinions on other people. We keep on imposing our suggestions on other people without caring, without asking, how do these people feel? So Jesus defended his disciples today because he understands what is going on here. And what is going on here simply is the close-mindedness of these people. Why do you compare people? Don't you know that people are unique? Why do you compare people? Don't you know that everyone is just one person in the whole world? There are no two persons in this world. This is what we call respect. Not comparing people is an act of respect for them. This is a problem we also have in many families where the father is maybe a medical doctor, the mother is a medical doctor, and most times, the parents, they want their children, all their children, to become medical doctors just to continue the family tradition. Have you stopped, paused, reflected, meditated to ask yourself, this your daughter, this your son that you are forcing and compelling to go to medical school? Have you asked yourself if this your child has a different giftedness, a different talent? Every profession is good. But the fact is this, that parents and guardians and friends should stop imposing what they think is correct. It's okay to suggest to people what you think is okay, but it's wrong to impose something on someone who has rationality to do and to believe or to actualize whatever God has put in that person. This is the problem of the Pharisees. They were so close-minded that they did not want to break away from the traditions. And Jesus came bringing new ways. Jesus came asking people to forgive their enemies. Jesus came bringing new ways, love. But the people did not want to accept that. And that's why they kept on insisting that it must be this way. Let me tell you, dear friends in Christ, you can never open a new door with an old key. If you want to open a new door, you have to get a new key. You can't be using old method and be expecting new blessings and successes. No. if you want to experience newness, if you want to experience success, new breakthroughs, new beginnings, you have to break away from the past and use the present in order to open the present. You can't be using old methods and expecting new successes. No, it doesn't work like that. So Jesus has come to bring us change. And these people were so close-minded, just like me, just like you. Most times, we are very eloquent in speaking about change, but only few of us are open to welcoming change. You know why? Because change can be discomforting, and change is also a process which many of us may not be patient enough to wait for this process. Change is a process, and sometimes this process can be very painful. But at the end of it all, we will reap the fruit of that process. But the issue is, are we ready to wait? Are we ready to be patient through this process? I believe that the wise person looks at the bigger picture of every reality. Because if we just focus on the particulars, we may not advance. So, Jesus wants us to be open minded because he has come to teach us new ways. There are so many people who may be very traditional. They do this in the church, they do everything, they carry out all the rituals, but they fail woefully in relationships. What Jesus is asking us today is to be open to the new relationship he has brought to us. But these people who complain, the Pharisees, they were not ready to accept this new teaching of loving your enemy, of praying for your enemy, and all that. So not everyone is ready for change, but almost everyone speaks about change. If you listen closely to the responses of Jesus, you will notice that he also talked about his Paschal mystery in a very subtle way, because he said to them, there will be a time when the bridegroom will be taken away, and then they will fast. When will that be? During the Paschal mystery, when he will be crucified and he will go away from his disciples. They will fast. They will even suffer. It will be very painful for them. But remember, there's time for everything. And Jesus wants us to understand this. There's time for everything. If we are praying for change, for instance, we should also know that it takes time. As I said, it's a process. We have to calm down and wait for this process to take its course. So there's time for everything. But you can never actualize or receive what the future holds for you if you are still holding on to the past. Many of us are stunted in relationships, in business, in so many other ways. Many of us are retarded. Many of us are stagnant. You know why? Because we are still so attached to the traditions, to the past, to what happened before and all that. Let us learn from Jesus to be open-minded. If you have tried this business and it did not work, move on to another one. Don't imprison yourself in the past. Don't hold on to what you know is not working. Be innovative, be open-minded, and you will see that the future will surely be better than the past. I want to thank you for listening to this reflection, and please do well to share it. God bless you.